today is the AGM for the Sussex branch, and we will be going through the kind of normal procedure. There's a standard procedure. We don't have any other content planned for tonight, so it's just the AGM business. And yeah, I will hand over to our chair, Bob, to do that.
Thanks very much indeed. Well, welcome to everybody, and welcome to Mike, Matt, and David as not committee members. At least it's not just the committee here, which is good news. I think it's sort of apologies. Blay has apologised. He may be late. Otherwise, all the committee except Paul, who I assume and Brian might know, has COVID started going through their house now. Or is Paul on here? Oh, Paul is here. Brilliant. Good. Yeah. So we're only short of Blay, who sends his apologies.
Yep.
So we've got to go through the formalities of it. That's the apologies. There were minutes produced kindly by Brian of our last AGM. And as far as he and I are aware, there's nothing arising from that, unless somebody's got a memory better than his and mine. Now, really what I thought I would do, I will be standing down definitely after this AGM today. I've threatened it for the last 2 years. This time it will happen. And more about that later. But it's interesting, if we look back over the last 6 years, we had a very good 4-year run, 15 to 30 at regular monthly meetings at Sussex Uni, and food and liquid refreshment was provided, and a good engagement with people both within BCS membership and outside. COVID then struck, and we very quickly stopped meeting and went for Zoom meetings. Unfortunately, we have seen a very steady decline, other than the very last meeting, in numbers, and the committee has discussed what's best to do. So first of all, I want to say a big thank you to all the committee and all that they have been doing to keep the ship afloat. Without the full committee, we would not be here. Sadly, we've lost 3 committee members who joined us at the last AGM, and they've all got themselves too busy to keep supporting us. And it's not entirely all work problems, but of course it's sadly, and I am aware of all 3 cases. And a big thank you to them for what they were able to do, particularly to Steve, who did a lot. And when he resigned, I did actually say to him, you'd be very welcome to come back again, as I did to the other 2. Now, looking forward, we as a committee have discussed 2 scenarios, and I'm very happy under AOB to discuss other scenarios. But formally, we looked at one is, has the branch run its time and should it close? The second scenario was, has the branch got to a stage where it needs to pause, really get a first-class program in front of us, the speakers that are going to draw the punters into the Zoom meetings, and maybe by the April time of next year, we can get back into Sussex Uni. So the proposition that we've worked out as a committee quite unanimously is that we go forward with a pause from now to April, and a big thank you to Paul, who's taken on the role of getting future speakers and getting us onto social media. The only other thing that we've not been able to do is the feedback from the Brighton's prize winners for BCS prizes, and that we may well pick up after the break we're going to have. Any questions on my report, please? Every question is perfectly permitted. Okay, no questions.
Just a quick one, Bob. Yeah, just a quick one. As a newbie, how often would these things normally take place? Because I've only come at this very late, so I've not really been aware of it.
Okay, David, no, prior to the pandemic, we set that we would meet every second Tuesday at 7 for 7:30 in Sussex Uni in one of their lecture theatres. We did scale it down from a very big one to a smaller one.
Okay.
But regular, excepting we took off August and September because effectively the uni closes then. Holidays were causing low numbers.
Okay.
That's the second Tuesday of the month rather than every second Tuesday.
Yeah, sorry, that's me flipping. For those that don't know it, I'm dyslexic, and there are times when I'm flipping. I'm particularly bad, but it's the Wednesday actually, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Wednesday, sorry.
It was the second Wednesday of the month. Let's get it right. It's time, Ira Chair. Any more questions, David? Because very welcome to have questions.
Well, that's so that would be a real meeting rather than online, obviously. And
Exactly. What we've got, that's been a real meeting more recently online. What we're hoping for by April is that we can run a duality of real meeting and Zoom for those that don't want to come into the unit.
Okay, all right.
And there's a strong feeling that we're not really going to get ourselves going again until we can have face-to-face meetings and there's the social interaction.
Yep. Okay.
Any other questions? Harold, would you like to give us a treasurer's report?
Right. I'm going to share a screen if I can work out how to do that. Right. So this is our financial report. You'll see we don't actually collect any money. It all comes from money that we ask the BCS for, and they give us a budget, and I've shown the budget on the left-hand column of money. So we had last year allocated to us £2,981, and we spent 240, so that's good. And that was on student prizes for Sussex University. You'll see there that BCS budgeted for us to have face-to-face meetings with catering and publicity and speakers' expenses and things like that. But obviously we're not having any face-to-face meetings. We didn't spend any of that money. We also had money in the budget to sponsor the hackathon at Sussex University, but that didn't happen. So we didn't spend that. So that's basically all we spent last year. End of report.
Any questions for Harold? Okay. We now move on to the election of chair, vice chair, treasurer and committee members. And if I forget anybody or any committee member, I will try to go through it. Unfortunately, Blay has not yet joined us.
Yes, he has.
Oh, good.
I'm here.
You're here.
Sore arm.
Very sore arm, Blay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
You're okay.
I'm sorry, I've only just made it back, but
That's all right. Well, we've got down to election of officers now. And the first one is to elect a new chair. Your arm, I think, has been twisted, your good or your bad arm, Blay.
yes.
That unless anybody else wants to volunteer, I'm sure Blay would be very pleased if they did volunteer. Blay has kindly agreed to take over from me for the next year. Okay, I think by there being no other votes, we won't do a formal vote or show of hands. Thank you, Blay, very much indeed. That's much appreciated. I have said I'm quite happy to stay on as vice chair, so that the knowledge I've built up in the last 6 years is available as we go forward. So I think, Blay, you better just ask if there's anybody else who wants to be vice chair, because I don't think I should ask about myself.
Yes. Does anybody else want to put themselves forward as vice chair? I'm hearing a loud silence, so I think we'll accept your self-nomination, Bob.
Oh yes, I can't. There may be BCS rules right now. Well, thank you. No, I just feel it'll make life easier as we go forward, because I think that was one of the challenges I had 6 years ago. Yeah. Treasurer Harold, I believe you're very kindly.
I'm happy to carry on.
That's much appreciated.
But hopefully I'll spend more money next year.
Definitely.
No fun otherwise, is it?
No.
Now, we then have to have an inclusion officer, which Brian is quite happy to continue with. Yes, Brian? We're supposed to have and Brian will correct me, memory's gone already on this, early years. What is it, Brian? We were talking earlier today.
It's an early years champion, I think is the term, but we've all had far too much birthday cake to qualify. It's ideally somebody in the first few years of their career.
I did start some work of trying to get somebody out of Sussex Uni for that, but of course with the way the world has changed in the last couple of years, So we go forward unless somebody knows of somebody, and then let Blay know. But basically, that remains vacant. It is technically a mandatory post, but in reality, we've gone forward quite happily without it. Now, the committee members that are not with actual posts then, well, Matthew actually kindly does the hosting of the meetings. So are you happy, Matthew, to continue?
Yes, very happy to continue. Thank you.
Bless you. Thanks so much. Now, probably Paul is now taking forward both the meetings program and the social media. And unless anybody else wants to stand, Paul, that will be excellent. And hopefully come next spring, we can be back in business. Everybody happy with that? Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Now, somebody will remind me, I've forgotten somebody or something. The one bit of breakthrough I did forget to say on the chair's report, which I will do while I remember, I have finally got a link with RSPCA as a business client, a major company client, which is technically a charity of BCS. And I think when we get going again, Paul, they could be a very good relationship developed there. That might be nearer where you live too anyway, Paul. You're silent, Paul.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, my next door neighbour is a bigwig over at RSPCA. So yeah, watch this space. We probably get some things.
No,
going.
very good. So that one I will make sure we do not lose.
And she's a personal friend of mine as well as being a neighbour. So that's good.
That's good. But no, they were very, and the person I finally got through to there after I dealt with all the red tape about sharing names by BCS, etc., was very appreciative that we want to work with them. That was a good starter. Anything else about election of members? Anybody want to stand for the committee who is not already on the committee? I'm taking that as a no by
It's
Simon.
Matt Clearly here. I'm happy to help if that's
okay. That would be great, Matt. Could you let either Blay or myself have your email address, please? That would be brilliant.
certainly.
You're on the committee, Matt.
Thank you. I'll send my email address.
Thanks very much indeed.
That's the advantage of having long silences at meetings, because then somebody feels obliged to volunteer.
No, I'm delighted to do so.
Thanks very much indeed. Good. Anything else on elections? Otherwise, we come to AOB. And I did say there we would open up the discussion about the way the committee has suggested we go forward for the next 6 months with the programme. Have a pause, get time to get to the point where hopefully we can get back to face-to-face meetings in April, and then take April, May time. So I think I said May. So it's May, isn't it? It's memory failure. And then go from there. Any thoughts on that?
You did say April before because I wrote it down because I wasn't sure, because that's the kind of date
well,
I
I
would
think
forget.
I've been flipping.
Shall we say
May or April? Which do we prefer?
Well, it'd be nice to try it for April.
Let's go for April then.
Yeah.
That's where I was originally. Then I thought we'd agreed May, but let's go with April then. Minute taker, please note we're starting in April. Thanks, Brian. Anybody's thoughts, particularly those who are not on the committee, about what we're planning as an approach to?
Well, what is the normal modus operandi, Bob? I mean, there's nothing been happening much, obviously, for
Well, what happened?
obvious reasons. But you've obviously got a period of time when you have speakers there and specialist individuals that come in and speak. So is that how it normally functions?
That's how it normally functions, with July being the university student prize winners speaking about what they've done. And then from September onwards, from October onwards, let's get the months right, October onwards, then running for 9 months with speakers on subjects that will, to be quite honest, draw the punters.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And things when we did GDPR, we were doing extremely well on that sort of thing.
So if I can just summarize in my head. So September through to June, there's a monthly speaker typically, or that would be the aim.
Absolutely.
Right, and that would normally be live, but it may be online in future as well.
Well, it was live through the last 18 months or so. In the future, we're expected to be mixed online and face-to-face.
Yeah.
BCS,
That would be a good move, because it might not be easy for people to actually get there till it's further away, which I do. And also because people don't have to make any special travel arrangements to come. So I can well imagine that's going to be helpful.
I think it will be. But we just felt this need to have a pause to get everything right and the ducks of the right standard of program.
Yeah, it's chaos at the moment out there.
and BCS are going to recommend equipment that, well, they'll buy for us, presumably.
Well, presumably, yes. Break the budget.
Out of our budget, yeah. It's to enable us to do it. And I'm watching that with interest, because I organise meetings for our local beekeeping group, and we're trying to do hybrid meetings rather like that, with a mix of both sorts of speakers, and it's proved to be quite interesting and difficult.
Well, you can have a live meeting with a remote link. That's
yeah. Oh yes, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
So.
And when we did it last time, when I was on the committee, is a good few years back now, I think we did it on, we used your Mac, didn't we? Your laptop, as I recall, Blake.
Yes.
To do it. And I think we did actually do some question and answer sessions with it as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it was all very crude. I think we used a chap called Neil's mobile phone, but it was actually, I went on a BCS course about it, but it was all, they had lots of different bits of equipment, but actually just the old laptop. And I think did we buy a webcam or something and have a microphone? I can't remember, but we kept it really simple. And I think with Zoom, it would be even more simple. You could do the two-way.
Yeah.
You could have the hybrid.
Yeah.
I think the microphone is going to be the greatest challenge, the most important thing. Having done a fair few bits of this online, it's much more important consideration than the camera in many ways.
Yeah, very much so. The cameras are fine now on the, I can't remember what we did with the microphone, but anyway,
I mean, the experience that I've had and feedback I've got from people who've been watching presentations remotely is that because we didn't do very well at getting the speaker up on the screen, they didn't seem to mind that. As long as they could hear and they could see the slides from the presentation, they were happy.
Yep.
I think one of the problems we had, wasn't it? It was turning it round, as simple as that, wasn't it, Blaise? So if someone asked a question. So, but then that doesn't, you say the visual doesn't really matter that much, does it? So it's more the sound.
I honestly don't think the technology is the important issue here. I think that the important issue is getting speakers that people want to hear. And, and I can't work magic on that. I need support.
What kind of speakers have you had in the past that you found to be successful, shall we say, if that's the right word?
Well, a variety. I mean, sometimes people from the industry who've got something interesting to say, particularly on things like GDPR, cybersecurity. I mean, anyone who knows about cybersecurity is going to pack a hall, I think. Because it's live. Sometimes academic speakers. I mean, a variety of things, really. We got a big turnout for quantum computing, as I remember, for example, if you want an academic subject. Because I think the average BCS member thinks, I've heard about quantum computing, but what on earth is it? But if we are going to, not wind up the branch, then I think we need a strong speaker program. And the idea, it's not my idea, but the idea that people have gone for taking a break is probably a good one, because you want to get a program out in advance and people in the habit of coming every month. We can't just rely on people turning up. I think we need a strong program, is what I'm saying. And I think
Green did very well, didn't it? If I remember, Blake, from years back. But green computing's kind of on the side now, isn't it? But it's all anything where we were successful is if it's relevant. I mean, the GDPR was great because that was relevant, that was happening. People wanted to know that, didn't they?
Yeah, we did a survey and members said they didn't want to hear about green computing. So
no, I wouldn't surprise me, because it's been and gone now, isn't it? So
you've got the whole ESG agenda now, haven't you? So perhaps it's not green, but perhaps it's how IT is helping with that. So there might be something there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, to relaunch, we need a strong program.
Yeah.
And you know, we need it fixed and to tell people in advance. And I honestly feel I've done all I can, including stepping in last month. So I need help from other people to come up with a program that will actually interest people.
And back to my other question. So the speakers would normally be there present at the meeting physically.
Yes.
And does it help if those speakers are themselves remote?
I don't know whether it makes much difference. I mean, I'm quite happy to work remotely, but I think certainly most of the committee felt that we were losing attendance because there wasn't physical presence.
Okay.
And a bit of chance to work before and after. We did provide refreshments, of course. So
and we got money in the budget for that.
It's a lot of it is about the networking, isn't it? That's what we should.
Yes,
exactly. That's part of what BCS is about, isn't it? Networking. So I think that's
exactly
important, isn't it?
Yes.
You know.
I just wondered if perhaps, what happened last year, the way that Zoom has taken off, even with people who perhaps would never have thought to use it, if that's going to change people's attitudes towards this stuff. And, maybe say, well, yeah, I can fit in a Zoom meeting to 100 people or something, but getting there is a different discussion. I don't know, just thinking aloud, really.
Yeah, but what Mike says, it's about the networking, and maybe the networking's harder over Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, no question. That I think I agree with.
My experience recently, as we're coming out now, I mean, I spent, I don't know, in the last 2 days, maybe, I don't know how many hours in the car. Who cares? A lot of hours in the car, going down and seeing people for an hour, meetings, etc. Just because people want to, they want to see you again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do a lot I don't really like Zoom. I do a lot on the phone, etc. But sometimes you just need to get there. And I think we should try and get that network in this. It's good to have the hybrid. The hybrid is the real solution, isn't it? So if you can't make it, it's great.
Yeah.
I think but also I find I've done quite a few hybrid stuff. If there's not too many people in the hall, it's a bit like watching those football matches or cricket matches with no crowd there. You don't have the atmosphere, do you?
Yeah.
I know we're not promoting that, or BCS aren't promoting that, but yeah.
Any other input on that? It's interesting. Computer Conservation Society, which is one of the BCS groups, they've gone now for duality, but I think 90% are still coming in on Zoom. But we learn as we go forward.
What do you mean by what? Sorry, I didn't quite understand what you were saying.
Computer Conservation Society, which is one of the BCS groups, they were entirely on Zoom until the last 2 meetings. I think no more than 10% have gone to the meeting, 90+% still coming in on Zoom. But at least it's evolving, and we're finding out.
Yeah.
Are they a national group, Bob?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's a big subtle difference.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges we have as a branch is being geographical.
Yeah.
The specialist groups, of which Computer Conservation Society comes under that banner, is very different because they can target anybody in the world through Zoom.
And also, we're unfortunately, Sussex is sort of quite stretched out, isn't it? If you live at one end, it's quite hard to get to the other end.
Yes.
Have you thought of, I know we talked about it years ago about moving the meetings around, and I know going a long way back, we used to do that, didn't we? I think move back down. I think Crawley, they had 1 or 2 meetings in Crawley and places like that.
My thinking has been so far, with the link with RSPCA and where they're situated, that could be a suitable area to target in, and maybe get them to host 1 or 2 meetings for us and try it that way.
Yeah.
To cover the area, something in mid Sussex and then something in kind of West Sussex, kind of Chichester way, would probably cover most of our catchment, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
To be close to everyone.
And are you still? I know we're not. Are we still using that? I know, Bobby, you like it. I think it's the most terrible building. Wherever certainly the last ones I attended, that mazy-like building.
That's the building we're using at the moment. Blake
Yeah.
will tell us what the state of nations is over where we can be in the uni.
Because I always found that quite. Maybe it's me. It's a bit of a. Where did we used to use? Was it Chichester? Was it Chichester and Fulton? Wasn't it?
Yes,
is that right, Blake?
Fulton A.
Fulton A.
We moved from Fulton A to, gosh, I can't remember the name of the business school building in it really in a much nicer lecture theatre.
All right.
And it's right next to the car park, isn't it? It's easier to the multi-story car park. And
okay.
I can't really tell you much about Sussex. I can say the official policy is that everyone should be back on campus, but everyone isn't back on campus. The official policy is that students should wear masks for all teaching events, but as far as I can tell, nobody but me wears a mask on campus. So, and whether or not, I don't think we were ever officially entitled to use Sussex's buildings without paying. We just got lucky. And I can't promise that will be the case in April, but I'm still actually employed by Sussex University, so I can probably just book a room and as we did before, probably.
And we use Brighton University's caterers to cater for the meetings.
No, Sussex Uni.
Sussex Uni, sorry.
It was Sussex Uni caterers, yes.
Yeah.
That was one thing. We got rid of all the headaches of catering. Sussex Uni really effectively said to us, we want you preferably to use us as caterers, which suited us.
They really don't like other caterers coming onto the campus. I think there's some sort of stitch up there. I don't want to sound too cynical, but it's
my impression was the food was good, the cost wasn't too expensive, and we went with it.
Yeah.
That suggestion of the RSPCA, Bob, was a good one because it's also got free parking. They got massive parking spaces over there. It's basically a very nice building. I went in there for an interview years ago, and it's quite a modern building, being their headquarters. And from what I recall, that if we're doing something in the evening, I would think that there's plenty of ample parking. The only odd thing that happens there is people are allowed to bring their pets in there. So you'll see dogs running around and stuff, in an office environment, which is a bit strange, but so that actually may be something that could possibly be a deterrent if people are afraid of dogs and things. We'd have to find out about that, because that is the sort of policy that the RSPCA has with animals. But other than that, there is ample parking. It's really easy to get to off the A24. And I think it's a good sort of central point for all places to come into from the BCS perspective. So it would be worthwhile definitely investigating that, Bob, with your contact.
Might be quite nice to go and visit. People might quite like that as well. Bit of, variety.
Yep.
I just want to add, rather than actually solving everything right now, it feels like it makes sense for the committee to continue to have some regularity of meetings outside whilst we put the program together and figure out this as we go. Does that sound plausible? Because I don't want, with particularly with Blake's request about remaining supported, which I completely agree with, and I think that for me the best way to do that is that even if we're not hosting public meetings, that we do meet as a committee and kind of carry on doing the work of the branch in that way. Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
Yes.
Definitely, I think, Matthew, because we do need to keep the human side, not just the electronic contact.
Great.
Okay. Is there any other comments or input anybody wants to make tonight about the programme?
On that last comment, can I suggest we have another meeting, another committee meeting in a month's time
Excellent.
to discuss progress rather than just let this one slip.
Yeah.
Have you done anything on? I can't even think what it IR. It's all the contractors talk about it, but I'm not a contractor.
IR35.
Thank you. And I know it's been around for a little bit, but that would be a really good subject, wouldn't it? Still, I would have thought. Or is that not? Is that been and gone now?
I think it's reared its head again, but it doesn't worry me because I'm retired.
The change was that last year IR35 started applying to private organisations as well as public ones.
Yeah.
So that's the that's the change, isn't it?
I mean, I know I don't involve that, but I know I've got some friends who are involved in that, and you come across people. That could be a really, BCS must have some expert in that, surely, Bob.
Well, it's not BCS, it's other members effectively, and that's what we trawl for. But I think that's a good one because it has reared its head again.
Yeah.
I've just done a short contract in my other background for a company in Glasgow where I was inside IR35, but working from home. So I've just experienced it because my background is oil and gas engineering. So we've been seeing this rearing its head for some time now. But what we're not quite sure about, and it would be useful to have someone talk about this, is how they make the distinction whether it's inside or outside. Because to some degree, I could have said, well, I'm working from home, so why am I inside IR35? I'm never going to be an employee. It was described as a short-term contract, so why did it become that way? Yeah. But we think that what's happening is that the big companies don't want the hassle. They don't want the aggro with the tax, with HMRC. So they play safe and run them as inside IR35. That's the general feeling.
Large companies are also using umbrellas as well now.
Yeah. And I think I was actually. So I was paid by the hour. And actually what they did is they raised my gross hourly rate, and they gave that an uplift, I think, by the agent to cover the NI, the employer's NI contribution. So it actually didn't work out too badly. But I don't know whether that's common across all, how they work it. But the concept of staff contract is also coming into play as well these days, where you work through an agency, but you are employed by the agency, not just introduced by the agent. So there seems to be all sorts of shades coming into it.
So perhaps I'm hearing a topic more around all the different emerging modes of employment that one can be with, because it's not as simple as working for oneself or working full-time for an organization anymore.
That's right.
And I think that would be a helpful thing, including all of the stuff that you mentioned, David. So thank you for that. Perhaps to explore for people, and that ties up nicely with some of the feedback we got around people developing their careers. When we spoke to the community. So that if we do have someone, I think that feels like a particularly.
I think that will be a very, very useful topic because, I say I'm coming from a slightly different background rather than a computer type background, but we're affected by it, and we've been talking about it because 12 years ago, we all had to set up our own limited company in order to do that, rather than just work through an umbrella company. Can't do that anymore. If it's inside IR35, that doesn't apply. If it's outside IR35, then it does apply. But I've got some experience, but it's very limited. So a topic like that, I think, it's not really a computer topic, but it's a topic that affects anyone working in this industry.
Yeah, it's relevant to our membership, and that's
massively relevant, isn't it? I think it is massively relevant.
So. Yeah, very.
Can anybody find a speaker?
Blay, you know someone.
I don't. It's really not something I can do.
It's almost like a HMRC man, isn't it? Really, or something. I know that sounds a bit weird.
Or an HR person, perhaps.
Yeah.
Is there a specialist group in the BCS for?
I was going to suggest the consultancy group is the one I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Have you got any contractor agency people or recruitment agency people who belong to the branch?
That's another possibility. That's another possibility, Matt. Although in my own case, sometimes I asked them the question, and it, frankly, was difficult to get answer. You know, I think one of the problems is that COVID affected people's employment situation for fundamental reasons, and because IR35 was just coming in, people haven't got up to speed on what the various shades are. So I'm not sure anyone in the agency side knows all there is to know. They're gradually picking up bits of it, but yeah. So back to what I said, Mike, would be a useful topic if someone knows what they're talking about.
What about something to do with, integrating all these web chat bots, etc., stuff like that? That's quite a topical thing, isn't it, at the moment?
So
AI, and I know AI, but generalizing around that.
Yeah,
I've got someone I know who might be able to give you a talk on that.
I think it feels like there's a general thing about how we manage talks, how we manage the list. I think that might be something for us to take forward at the committee and start working up practices around that. So they're both great suggestions, and I think it's very useful to start the list and give us an idea of exactly what we're going to be talking about.
I can't even think what's topical at the moment. Isn't that awful?
So
we've had all these GDPR, all these big things, the cloud, all these things everyone's talking about right now. No one's Windows 11. There we go.
Yeah, it's like someone saying, "Tell us a joke," isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Windows 11. Is that topical? Is that what it's going to be called? It is, isn't it? There we go.
Many years ago, Matt, we had speakers for the whole season, for a whole year, booked and planned, and we issued a little paper booklet.
Yeah, so that's right.
So people knew the date and the speaker, and maybe those days are gone. But I think we can't just say, "Oh, we haven't got a speaker. Can you step in, Blake?" We need something approaching that. We need a program.
Yeah, I think it's and a part of a program is essentially developing a theme, isn't it? It's the speed that each of the talks relate to one another, and are cohesive so people know kind of, when they come to one, they know that they get more value from going to the next one, and so on and so forth. I think. How we develop that though is the question that we have to ask.
And didn't we do a couple of those? I know you've done them since, those sort of open evenings, isn't it?
Yes.
Which I think is quite good. People can. I think we try and think about one of those to sort of almost find our topics out. So we'd have one of those like open evenings at the beginning of the season, and then you'd hear what people were talking about, and then you'd rapidly try and rush out there and find a topic, as it were. But
I'm thinking it probably needs a bit of delay, obviously but we do still have those topics. I have those notes somewhere. So we could revisit those. So thanks. Actually, that's a great great starting point to come up with a list.
It's hard though, isn't it? I know from my time, it's it's hard.
I think the key we've learned looking at it, the other thing that I didn't say in the chair's report for obvious reasons, is we get an awful lot of bookings who never turn up. If I exclude the committee, roughly 2/3 to 3/4 of the people now who book never turn up at the meetings. And that's something that's an interesting characteristic of the way Eventbrite is pulling in people, book for nothing, and then just don't turn up. Maybe the subject interests them, but they don't want to come through. And I think the key is this one, and it's getting, as we've just said, the right topics. And sadly, obviously, some of you will know, it was Steve who was doing this, and life's events overtook him over the last few months. But no, that one is a slight worry that we did have one disruption, didn't we, this last year in a meeting. Can you remember that, Brian? Can you remember more about that? Was it students interfering by being logged into the meeting?
It was a couple of fairly brief disruptive comments, but it didn't evolve into anything. I think
No, we killed it off. I think Matthew disconnected the people quickly.
Yeah.
Benefits to Zoom.
We in terms of host, we just need a speaker and essentially a producer on Zoom at any point, and the producer's role is partly to moderate and to pick people out if they're disruptive. That's, I think, in terms of what we actually need, that's another thing we need to start considering for this as we move into this program is, you know, who on Zoom, who is doing what on Zoom and who is doing what in person, and how we bring that together. So that's kind of the other aspect of this work. And I think it makes sense to take this forward. I personally, I think this is committee stuff that we will then need to reach out, rather than something that we need to check during an AGM, but I'm willing to be contradicted on that. But I think it's a piece of ongoing work in preparation for a relaunch in spring.
Is there any other business or any other comments? Otherwise, we can draw this to a close.
Well, I think you got to pick on topics that are going to be hot topics in the future. AI, for example, is going to affect everyone, not just people as part of this group, but they're going to affect members of the public. So, you know, I think that will be a useful topic, even if it's specific to certain aspects of AI, like Internet of Things or cars, you know, driverless cars, that sort of thing. So pick it out. You know, you could almost have two on that, because you're going to be looking at, with 5G and Internet of Things, that's going to be impacted on people's homes, everyone, you know. So you might produce a speakers list from that, is what I'm trying to say, Matthew. You know.
Yeah, I think the 5G Internet of Things is a good one. There's this sort of domestic aspect with everybody's devices at home, but there's also huge implications in supply chain and, you know, end-to-end information and tracking things for sustainability and ethical reasons through the supply chain with this new tech. So there's lots there, you say. Yeah,
and the other one is blockchain, of course, which is you know, so that's another topic you could be looking at. There will be people who are specialising in that. But yeah, the IoT, the Internet of Things, is going to affect absolutely everyone. And driverless cars are going to, I was discussing this with a colleague of mine today. You know, that if you look 10 years ahead, you're probably going to be looking at driverless cars being more prevalent on the moment, which is going to impact people's job situations, driving license situations, all sorts of things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm minded that IT Now actually is an interesting source for this. A lot of the topics that you've raised have been featured in the magazine in the last year or so, and I think that might be quite a useful starting point for us as well. So yeah, and bring those conversations together a little bit. So yeah, thank you very much. I think they're all really good points.
The fact we're going to turn off, I'm going to call it analog for the old sake of calling it analog. We'll be turning off effectively the old telephone system, won't we? And all the effects that's going to have down the line, for example, traffic lights, etc., etc. There's all sorts of.
Is that? Sorry, Michael. Is that true? Is the old? Is that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch the beginning of that.
The old. If you think of it, the copper wire stuff, effectively, in the old telephone. I know it's not analog anymore, but the old telephone, that system's going. It will all be via voice, whatever they call it. So yeah, the old style, you picking the phone and going operator on Whitehall 279. It will be dead and buried.
Yeah.
It will all be good old internet based. So we all know how reliable that is.
It'll all be VoIP, in other words. Yes. Yeah.
And the consequences of things, there's a lot of things when BT eventually pull the plug on that. A lot of the traffic, there's lots of systems which work in good old fashioned copper, good old fashioned signals going up and down. None of this digital sort of stuff. 2025, am I right, Blake?
I don't know the details, but BT have announced that it's all going. Yeah,
it's either 24 or 25. It's actually not that far away. And there's that talk of the 2000, the year 2000, the big panic there of all these systems suddenly not working and stuff like that. I don't know.
Year 2K again, isn't it? There you
go. Good. Any more? Otherwise, we'll draw it to a close.
Two others, if you're interested. Additive manufacturing, 3D printing.
Yeah.
Maybe one. And you might want augmented reality if you haven't done that as well. So
yeah. What was the first one, Matt? I missed that. Sorry.
I think it's called. I call it 3D printing, but I think the official term is something like additive manufacturing. So there's obviously lots of 3D printing capabilities out there, but you need to get scale, and you can move that to 3D scanning as well and other stuff. So there's quite a bit in that area.
And also, you talk about that virtual world, weren't you, out there? think use Metaverse.
The metaverse, yeah.
Thank you. Which I'm supposed to be doing a project on at some point. So get that lecture going sooner rather than later. I'm supposed to be looking into that for a client. I don't know why. But,
or you can speak on it, you know. I mean, that's the other possibility. But yeah. Or you can speak on it.
Yeah, I can speak on it.
Go to
that would
IKEA or
force me to
something.
learn about it, wouldn't it? Or to understand it. So
Go to IKEA and have a look at their sofas and seeing how your sofa would fit in your living room.
Yeah,
they use that sort of stuff, or BMW for selling their cars. There's 2 examples of it.
Okay.
Right.
Before we close, can I ask how people feel about having another meeting on the 8th of December? Is that too soon? But I'm worried.
A committee meeting, or
yes, I'm worried if we don't have a committee meeting, all these things will be put on the back burner, and the next meeting will be March, and it'll be much like tonight. That's my worry.
Shall we do we want to? Oh, Bob's gone. I was going to say, do we want to close the AGM part of this and then decide on another committee meeting? I'm completely happy with the 8th, though. That's absolutely fine by me.
So
I think it's very sensible.
Email me and remind me.
Okay. 8th December it is then.
What time, Blay?
I think 7 o'clock. So there's no problem remembering it. So. 7 p.m. on the 8th, basically a discussion of progress. And I've got a number of actions on me here, but the main thing I think we need, we need to think about venues and pin that down, and we need to think about speakers.
Right.
And I honestly think the 6 months will go very quickly.
Yeah, it will. It'll soon go by.
I agree.
When he says speakers, I'm thinking topics, first of all. That's what I meant. The point was made by Bob earlier that topics bring in the people. So
yeah, I think I've heard a number of good suggestions for topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a sense of it, don't we? We have to explore who's actually available and willing to speak. But that's brilliant. Yeah, I think it's.
Well, I'll approach the BCS consultancy specialist group, and essentially for someone who can talk to IR35 and different ways of working. It's quite possible that nothing will happen, but I can ask before December the 8th, and that would be something. The metaverse, I don't know. The metaverse, I'll just pass to Mike, like everyone else has.
Yeah, we need Mark Zuckerberg for that one.
Good luck asking him.
He was a very nice chap.
I think we're more likely to get Michael Barnes than Mark Zuckerberg.
He's not as rich as me, though. Or is it the other way around? I never remember.
Just give him a ring, Michael. You know, I'm sure he'll answer the phone. You know.
Yeah. I don't actually have a Facebook account there, but you know, it's probably one of the reasons I should phone him.
You're probably on WhatsApp, so you probably do have something Facebook.
Unfortunately, yes, I am on WhatsApp, but yeah. Monitorizing WhatsApp. There we go. Blake, you could do one on converting an old Land Rover to electric and some intelligence for driving it or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm midway through a discussion. I think building your own electric car doesn't actually make financial sense, and it's interesting to consider why. I think the electric car manufacturers are probably selling loss leaders.
Well, I think it's not so much building a new one, actually. There is a marketplace out there for people who are doing conversions.
Yeah.
They take classic cars like an E-Type Jag and put electric in it. Yeah.
A very valuable classic, but the prices are fantastic.
Oh yeah, they're high. They're
Yes.
high, no question. Mostly the batteries, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, my advice, Mike, is don't do it, or don't do it yet. Wait till the parts are a lot cheaper.
I'm not going to go electric, Blake. Come on, I'm not like you. Yeah. You know, I know you like to preach the environment rather than do anything about it. So you know.
Well, I'm not.
Sorry, that's my blade dig. I'm out the way now.
Uh,
right. on a set, I've got to go to set, but play on a separate thing. We must meet and have a coffee sometime.
Okay.
We'll start by actually picking the phone up and talking to each other, which we haven't done for
but we shouldn't do that in the
meetings.
meeting while everyone's waiting to go.
Yeah, I'll go for a run now anyway. But good luck and get that program going.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Bob.
Okay.
Brian, don't know your Dave, and I don't know Paul, but never mind.
Yeah.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So, Matt, are you going to be dropping emails out again about the next one? Is that how it works, or?
Well, the mailing list will be we'll be using the mailing list, and anything will be publicised on the website. I imagine this will be part of the ongoing discussion, but we've got the mailing list and we have the website, so yes, we'll definitely be in touch by those means. And if you want to check anything in the meantime, yeah, there's the Sussex Branch site as well. So yeah, I think you raise a point. Actually, it's probably worth communicating with the membership. What we're actually planning to do is not that many people are here by email. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a sort of, an email out to everyone just to say we've decided to do this and we're going to start putting a program together between now with a view to, and generally what the outline plans are,
Absolutely, and it provides us with an opportunity to ask for help, possible within the membership as well. So I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you, and I think that's a good way to kind of move things forward in the meantime,
and get people involved as well, because you might contact someone who knows someone who can speak about IR35.
Exactly.
For example,
Exactly.
So whose job is that email to the membership?
I'll take that on if you like.
Thank you. And I think, Matthew, in that it would be useful. We've touched on a number of subjects we want speakers for, to actually put those in. And you've still got the access to the circulation, haven't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Talk about the topics, Matt, and then and then grab people's attention. And
absolutely.
Good. Are we done then?
Yep. I think we are.
Anything else, Blay?
No, I'll get in touch with Matt about the email, which is probably the next thing, and we're having another meeting in a month's time to review progress.
Lovely. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll close the AGM and its chat now. Then, thanks very much indeed for coming, everybody.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.